Hey there, it's JohnBerry555 and welcome to my full review of Star Wars The Bad Batch, Season 2, Episode 7, The Clone Conspiracy. So as I mentioned in my spoiler-free review, this was a thrilling and captivating episode, filled with political intrigue and the return of some characters. And speaking of characters, let's actually discuss which characters were returning. So we get the return of Senator Chuchi. She's the senator from the I think it was at least one episode, maybe if not two, from the Clone Wars, where they go to the visit the moon Pantora. She actually appears later on too, where she works with Ahsoka to uncover a conspiracy. But this is a totally different conspiracy she's now working to uncover. But it's definitely, you can tell that they were writing her, basically as a younger version of Senator Amidala. While I was preparing for this, I was like, I kind of wish she had expressed a line, or will maybe in the next episode, about wishing Senator Amidala was their Padme. Because it very much seems like she's, in some ways, fulfilling the same role that Padme did in many of the political episodes in the Clone Wars. But of course, her own twist on it, because, let's be real, Padme, I think, was a much more seasoned politician. And you can tell Senator Chuchi, she's not as confident in these scenarios that Padme would be. Padme would be taking control, where she still probably put herself in some danger, but she would be taking control and dealing with it. You can tell Senator Chuchi, she's doing well, but you can tell she's not as experienced in this kind of stuff as Padme would have been. Granted, Padme has had a lot more experience, but when we first saw Senator Chuchi all the way back in the Clone Wars, she was a young, inexperienced senator, so that makes sense. We're building upon her characterization. You can tell she's grown, matured, and become more experienced from when we first saw her, but we can tell she's still not to the level of experience of other senators and politicians we've seen in Star Wars, namely Senator Amidala, but also Senator Organa, who also makes an appearance, basically giving her some encouragement off the Senate floor. You can definitely tell he's being careful what he's saying, because he doesn't want to reveal too much about what he's doing, but also wants her to continue pushing her, what she's trying to do, with, helping the clones out. Because let's be real, everything she's focused on in this episode is helping the clones, dealing with the clones and not just throwing them away. Fortunately, that's probably what's going to end up happening knowing the Empire, but I have a feeling showing that the early seeds of rebellion are being planted in this episode. And of course, this episode is totally lacking of the Bad Batch and Inform. Even Crosshair doesn't appear, though Admiral Rampart trying to push his bill that will allow for civilian conscription of citizens rather than clones. But essentially, what Senator Chuchi is working to uncover is what happened to Camino. But that's only because she wanted to get the opinions of the clones of what they would like, the bills to include to help them when they can no longer be troopers, no longer be soldiers. One clone, Slip, reveals this stuff to her. Unfortunately, he and his friend are killed by a clone sniper who's not Crosshair in two separate instances. And Senator Chuchi was nearly killed by that clone sniper first, for Captain Rex didn't save her. And then they go to a lower level on Coruscant to interrogate this clone. It takes us a moment to figure out, is it a clone or is it not? But the scariest thing about this clone is he calls himself a true believer right before he kills himself. Yeah, that clone basically, not cyanide, it's something electric, but the same principle that you sometimes will see among true believers. And that's not the true thing, whether he's truly a true believer or his interpretership is still working. Could go either way. Regardless, each of those are bad, because that's going to show that the clones are truly divided. We always knew they were going to be somewhat divided, but because they are individuals, but this is really showing how they can be divided, that they are clones willing to kill other clones to stop the either advance the Empire. And take a note that Rex used his stun set on his blaster to stop the clone sniper, but he probably did that mainly because he wanted to interrogate the clone. But also, if you connect that with the Bad Batch, although whenever they're facing clones, they're using those stun settings as well. I think that's partially because they know that some of those clones are not doing this freely. They're basically forced to do it. And I think, but this is a clone who will basically be willing to kill clones. We've seen him already kill 2 of them. And it's implied that other clones have been killed for questioning the Empire as well. That actually makes me a little more nervous about Cody, but here's hope that he successfully deserted the Empire. But that was in a different episode, so who knows? Maybe it'll come back, maybe it won't. But I'm feeling the next episode we'll see the Bad Batch, and they're going to help with all this. Because remember, they also witnessed Rampart destroy Camino. So they're probably not going to testify in front of the Senate, because that would really be bad for the Empire. And we know the Empire is not stopped. So I have a feeling we're going to get kind of a bittersweet ending, but happy in the short term. Survival. That's, I think, a lot of what we're going to be seeing in the Bad Batch. Kind of being set up as a previous episode Tribe. It's all about survival. If you can survive, you've won. That's what I think they're setting up for the next episode. But man, the question is basically, will the Senate actually find out about what happened to Camino? I'm pretty sure Bail Organa will find out. There's no doubt about that. Well, there is some doubt, but I have a feeling he's going to be the one Senator who does find out. But it does make me wonder, will the rest of the Senate find out about it? Or will somehow the Empire twist it to maybe claiming there was a clone rebellion, or just a rebellion with the Camerons, something to hide that they, or the Empire, is the one who destroyed Camino. But a few other things I would like to just take a note of in this episode. One, Master Mida and Rampart both fully know what happened to Camino, and both are fully intending to keep it from the Senate. And of course, the Empire is all in on this as well. Duh. But also, where Rex and Senator Chuchi interrogate that clone is okay. From the Ahsoka episodes of the last season of the Clone Wars, those two, Rafa and I forget her sister's name. That's the garage they interrogate that clone in. But nice little connection right there. Just kind of showing how a nascent rebel cell forming up, if you will. But that's all I have for you for this episode. So stay tuned for the next episode, which is going to be coming up very shortly. Probably, well, it depends if you're watching it in the compilation or not. So that's all I have for this episode of Star Wars: The Bad Batch. As I said earlier, this was a thrilling and captivating episode full of political intrigue. Stay tuned for the next episode. But in the meantime, feel free to let me know in the comment section down below, what did you think of this episode? I would love to hear from you. In the meantime, thank you for watching, and as always, have a good day, a good night, wherever you are. May the Force be with you, always.